The true plague is not the one that corrupts the body, but the one that turns fear into a god. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video I will tell an invented horror story about the plague. I hope you like it. The Dance of the Black Shadows. The village of Valdemar had stopped praying. The wooden crosses on their doors were splintered. The saints on the church altar had their eyes blindfolded with rags, and the air reeked of boiled vinegar and rotting meat. The plague had arrived without warning, like a whisper in the middle of the night. First, it took the animals. At dawn, with bones twisted like wire, dogs that howled until they coughed up black blood. Then the children. Father Tomas knew it the morning Clara, the blacksmith's daughter, appeared on the church steps. Her skin was covered in dark veins that pulsed beneath the surface, like worms trapping glass. Her eyes, once green as moss, were pools of murky milk. "Father, it hurts," she whispered, before her mouth split into a choked wail. A black rose bloomed from her throat, its damp, glistening petals unfurling. No one could explain it. The village doctor, an old half-blind man, called it God's punishment. Women hid their children under beds. Men burned sheets stained with thick fluid. But the plague did not stop. It slithered under doors, clung to skin like a second shadow. Then he arrived. They called him the doctor, though no one recalled seeing him before. He wore a long coat of weathered leather, his face hidden behind a silver raven-shaped mask adorned with rusted bells. In his hand he carried a brass suitcase filled with amber vials. "And cure them," he said, his voice layered with two tones, as if another spoke behind his words. Father Tomas distrusted him immediately. There was something about the way the doctor walked as though his feet never touched the ground, but the desperate villagers flocked to him. He promised a remedy, a potion brewed from cypress roots and something else, something only he could provide. The first to drink it was Marta, the widow. They watched her swallow the thick liquid, golden as poisoned honey. For 3 days it seemed to work. The black veins on her arms faded, her coughing ceased. But on the fourth night screams tore through her cottage. When they broke in, the walls were splattered not with blood but a thick tar-like substance. Marta lay on the floor, her body bent at impossible angles. From her back sprouted bat-like member still sticky from birth. "It's part of the process," the doctor explained, his mask bells chiming softly. "The plague is not a disease, it's a metamorphosis." Soon others began to change. Villagers grew claws, extra mouths on their palms, scaly skin that shimmered under the moon. They no longer coughed flowers, but ash. And they followed the doctor like shadows, whispering words in a tongue that warped the air. Father Tomas confronted him in the abandoned church. He carried an iron crucifix and a bottle of holy water that smelled of brine. The doctor waited by the altar, where the figure of Christ had once stood. Now there was only a black hole in the wall, like a doorway. "You don't understand, priest," the doctor said, slowly removing his mask. The priest staggered back. The church walls began to bleed a cold oily substance. Outside, the transformed villagers pounded on the doors, their distorted voices chanting what sounded like a reversed psalm. "This isn't healing, it's corruption," Tomas shouted, flinging the holy water at the creature. The doctor laughed, a sound that rattled the priest's bones. The ground shook. Candles ignited with blue flames, and skeletal hands clawed from the walls, dragging the doctor into the hole in the altar. He screamed, but his voice faded into a distant hiss. Outside, the villagers collapsed, convulsing until they lay still. By dawn, the village was silent. The bodies were covered in a layer of black dust, and at the center of the square grew a single rose so dark it seemed to devour the light. Father Tomas survived, but each night when the wind blows from the east he feels something writhing beneath his skin, and he dreams of a silver raven whispering, "The cure is not the end, it's the beginning."